Hey, welcome everyone to Whole Latte Love. I'm Mark. I have Nick with me. We're going to take a look at some entry-level machines.
That's
now we've
right.
got quite a range here. We've got, super easy to use. I'll tell you who I recommended this one to, up to kind of top of the line and entry level over here.
That's right, with the Profitec GO.
Very, very nice machine. So we'll show you how they work, how to use them, and what they can do. So I guess real quick, Nick, so we've got the Gaggia Espresso Evolution.
That's right.
And this
Solis Barista Perfetta Plus. I think you're very familiar with this one, the Classic
Just a little
E24.
Yes.
And then I think anyone watching knows, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Profitec GO here at the
Profitec
top
GO.
of the line.
Top of the line.
Right.
And we do have a grinder here, a Eureka Mignon Facile.
That's right. So if you tuned into our last segment, you'll know that we just showed that off a little bit, but it's a perfect grinder to pair with any of these machines that we have here.
And a couple of these, if you're not ready to go with a grinder, 3 of our choices here can go without a grinder.
They feature a
totally.
pressurized brewing option, yeah. So if you're using pre-ground coffee or pods in some cases too.
Right. And I also want to mention, we've been doing videos for, oh my gosh, almost 15 years now. So we have, I think we're up to about 1,600 different videos. So we're going to kind of brush the surface on these products. But if you want to get more in-depth and more on them, we do have videos on every single one.
Every single machine up here has its own individual review, yes.
Really deep, how to make drinks, how to do everything. But let's take you through it. So I'm going to start with the Gaggia Espresso Evolution over here. This is around, what's the...
I want to say probably...
Around 260?
Yeah,
something.
250, yeah.
And this is a machine. Interestingly enough, my daughter's 24. She's a nurse. She works like these 12-hour shifts. She's like, Dad, I got to get a machine that's really easy. Now, she knows it just a little bit for me back when she was living at home, and I'd have machines at home. She wasn't that into it now, but of course now she does these overnight shifts, and she's like,
Probably needs that caffeine.
I need a little caffeine now and then. So this is the one that I'm recommending for her, and I know a couple other guys have recommended it for parents. And,
I think,
and
yeah,
things.
Ben, his mother is probably going to get one of these, so. Oh, well, there you go.
So let's take a look at this one again. Really, really easy to use. It does come with non-pressurized. That's a standard basket where you'd grind fresh for that generally.
Ideally, yes, but you could use pre-ground as well.
So I have some of that. So if you don't want it, if you're not in the market to go full grinder, which that makes much better coffee. But if you're doing milk drinks, you can get away with it a lot if you just want a latte. So it does come with what's called a pressurized basket, which I have in here right now. With this, grind size is not as critical as it is like when we get down to maybe the Profitec GO here. So I've got some pre-ground coffee, and get this, make sure it is labeled for espresso.
That's right.
Don't use pre-ground for filter. It's not going to work out very well. It's a much coarser grind. So it comes with a little scoop. So all I need to do with this, I turn the machine on. I'm all ready to go. I just get a scoop of coffee, level that off, put it in to my portafilter, and I can actually go 2 with this. So we'll go a little stronger.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds good to me.
And if you're learning about espresso at all, you've heard about tamping and all that. When you're using a pressurized basket, it's not critical.
That's right.
When you're using a non-pressurized basket, it becomes a little more critical, right? So with this, what it comes with is just this, and all you're looking to do here is just smush the coffee
Just
down.
compress it down so it's nice and flat.
Okay, and I'll show you how to froth on this too, because frothing is really easy on this machine. I'm making a bit of a mess here, so bear with me.
I feel like coffee does come with a little bit of mess, so
Yeah.
just be prepared for that if you're, a brand new home barista.
Yeah, once you get into coffee, touching it is everything, right? Getting the touch of your coffee.
Tasting it too, as I might say.
Of course. So all I've got to do here, my machine is on, and I'm just going to hit the brew button. It's going to take just a second. It's going to do a little pre-infusion first.
That's built right in, right? That automated pre-infusion.
And while it's doing that, Nick, watch that for me. Maybe I'm just going to get a little milk in a pitcher here.
Sure thing.
And I'm using a fellow Eddie pitcher, so if you're going to do milk drinks, you're going to want one of those. And then our next step here is just to press the steam buttons.
So we just got those 3 buttons, right? We got power, brew, and steam is the last one.
And we're under bright lights here, so it's kind of hard to see, but it is flashing.
You can see it flickering, yeah. You can definitely see it flashing.
So I'm going to wait until that goes solid. And then I'm going to have a towel handy, because we're going to do what we call purge the wand.
So, Mark, one thing about this machine, and also about the Solis that we've got coming up next, this has a thermoblock boiler versus a more traditional boiler that you might find in a single boiler espresso machine. So how does that differentiate this machine from those?
It's going to kind of heat water on demand, and that's why you can turn this thing on. It's going to be ready to go in a minute. Does it have the precision of some of the other machines we're going to look at? No, but it also doesn't have the price, of course.
Well, so if it's like your daughter who's really busy with that nursing job, having that ready to go, probably really important.
So I'm just going to purge them on. So I put down a little towel just to catch some of that. You could do it into the drip tray if you want. So I'm just getting rid of that excess water that's in there. And what we have here is a Panarello wand. So this automatically does the frothing for you. So I'm just going to get my pitcher under there, get the tip below the surface, and open up my steam valve here. And it's going to do all the work. Now, as we'll see, it's going to take a little bit longer here than it will on some of the machines we get down here. And this is automatically injecting air into the milk for me.
That's right. So sort of like that pressurized basket is there to help make the process of brewing your espresso, extracting your espresso easier. The Panarello wand is there to help with frothing milk too. So if you're not at a point in your life, let's say, where you can invest in the espresso hobby, a machine like this one is really going to help streamline those processes for you so that you can enjoy your coffee even if your lifestyle maybe doesn't permit you to become a full-time home barista.
Right. And now what I'm doing is I'm just feeling the outside of the pitcher here until it's like getting to the point where it's just a little too hot. Almost getting too close to being able to handle it without,
You're getting a lot of foam there, too.
I am, and that's what I'm going to get more of a cappuccino probably from this. All right, so we're going to take that out of there carefully. We're going to wipe down our wand, and then we're going to run some steam again. Because you want to get all the milk out of there. You want to keep things clean. Yeah, there we go. And then the trick here is if you ever go into a cafe and stuff, you can hear a lot of knocking, see some swirling. And that's kind of to incorporate the milk together a little bit.
Incorporate that, and then to break up those larger bubbles that you might have in the pitcher as well.
So what I'm going to do here, and I'm not a latte artist, everyone, so that's me. I'm more of a straight espresso guy. But I'm just going to pour that froth right over the top.
Oh, it's a beautiful cap of foam that you have on there, too. Perfect, like you said, for a more traditional cappuccino.
Yeah, and I'm going to give this one a taste. It's going to be great.
How many are you on right now?
Can you tell? I might have had 5 or 6 coffees today, so we're trying to tone it down a little bit. And that's how easy that is. Yeah. Of course, once we're done, we want to get our portafilter out. You're probably going to want to knock box here. Another thing about this machine to know is you can get it does knock out pretty nice, although it doesn't have does it have a 3-way?
This machine does not have a 3-way solenoid valve.
So as we go down the line here, some of these will, and you'll get a drier puck. But that knocked out really nice. So Nick, I'm going to let you take away the
I'll take it away with the Solis, just to finish up with a few key details just on this espresso evolution. This is a made in Italy machine, so generally you see products at this price point, typically not coming out of Italy, but this is made in Italy by Gaggia, which I think is really important to mention. It says it right on the side. I think it's on your side, actually.
Yep, right over here.
You can dispense steam like Mark just showed you, but if you want to dispense water, you just open this valve with the machine no longer in steam mode, and that pump's going to run, and it's just going to dispense water for you as well. So if you want to make an Americano, one of Mark and my favorite drinks, you can do that. Yep. Water loads on the side, and then if you've got an extra tall cup, you can remove the drip tray, and it gives you about another extra ½ inch of clearance or so.
So very, very easy to use. You do get warming up here when the machine is on. You can warm up your cups a little bit, which is very nice.
Yeah. So I'll take it away with our Solis Barista Perfetta Plus here. So a little power switch right on the side, and I did leave the machine off just to show this is a thermoblock machine, meaning it is going to heat up incredibly quickly. So the Solis Barista Perfetta Plus, I think, is a really good option for somebody who's looking to kind of get in at either end of entry-level espresso, whether you're really not able to commit and you're going to use a lot of pre-ground, or if you want to get into grinding whole beans fresh. But this machine does have 4 baskets that it comes with, both commercial and pressurized, meaning you can use those pods, you can use pre-ground, or as we recommend, you can grind your own coffee. So nice solid portafilter here though. This is stainless steel, and there is a diffuser that's built into it. That is what's used for your pressurized brewing as well. Now, you've got lights across the front, and when your 2 brew lights are solidly illuminated, that means that the machine is ready to start brewing. And so because this is a thermoblock machine, it heats up very, very quickly. So if we want it to brew, it's as easy as just pushing one of our brew buttons here. So I am featuring our Solis Coffee Podium. All that does is it just elevates our cups so they're a little bit closer to the spouts. I know Brian, who's behind the camera again, is a big fan of that one. But let me just demo, just quickly, brewing on this machine because it's really straightforward. So we have a 3-prong portafilter here, so that's something to keep in mind. Is some grinders, it can be a little trickier when you're trying to get that 3rd prong in. So depending on the design, if you're not sure, I'd contact a member of the sales team. But this is 54 millimeters as well, meaning that if you have the need to upgrade, we have a variety of 54 millimeter compatible accessories. And actually, I think Ben handed us one of those. I'm going to use a dosing cup just so I can be extra precise here. They're right over there.
Oh, they're there.
Yeah, just to show. These are from Varia, very nice. And then we're going to do, I want to say a 16 gram dose. I am going to weigh, so I'm going to say if you are getting into more specialty brewing, you generally do want to just weigh your coffee out. Oh, and so there we go with the Akaya. And I think we're just going to take a little bit of crema wave and dose straight from our Facile.
So that's a Facile grinder, a great little entry-level grinder there. It's on demand, so you press, it grinds, you stop, it stops. So if you want accurate doses, you will want a scale. But this is a very, very attractive price on a flat burr grinder with a Facile.
Absolutely. So with that, we're just going to do a little flip and transfer. A little shake there. And so I'm going to cover programming on this grinder actually at the same time, because that's something that you can do with your Solis Barista Perfetta Plus, is actually program a single and a double for your dispensing using the 1 and 2 buttons here. And just to note, Solis includes a really nice, this is an all metal 54 millimeter tamper that fits perfectly with the machine. They also include a pitcher as well, but if you're thinking to yourself, oh man, what am I going to do tamp-wise as far as getting myself a good tamper? Solis really has you covered there. So I'm doing a 16 gram dose. And I'll show you how we could program this, right? So I'm going to bring back our friend, Espresso mode on our Mini here. Oh, and then you know what? Maybe I will froth some milk too. We can call, this will be a little competition between the two of us. But to program this machine, it's actually incredibly simple. So Brian, if you want to get up close here for me. So we're going to press and hold. There is a 3-way solenoid valve on this machine as well. Pre-infusion. Have our pressure gauge. And now basically I'm going to hold it until I'm all done with my extraction. So I'm using our Espresso mode here. We're going to go for that 1:2 ratio. And we probably could go a little bit finer actually on that Mignon Facile there. But once you've achieved the ratio that you want, or just the amount, it depends on how you're prepping your shot, remove, heard the purge into the solenoid valve, and now your button is programmed, right? Incredibly convenient, as long as you prep your shot the same way, of course. And then you've got the ability to have your shot programmed to produce the exact same extraction volume as the next time. So that's very nice. Now, a few other details. You can press programming, and it's going to have flashing between our single cup, double cup, and steam icons. So what that's indicating is we're in programming mode, and based on which one we select, you could do 1, 2, or 3. That's going to be one of 3 preset PID temperatures that the machine can be set to for your extractions. We're going to press program again, and then we're all done. Now, just like our Espresso Evolution, opening the valve on its own, that's going to just start dispensing water. So you're hearing that pump run if you want to make those Americanos, or press steam, and that's going to heat up for steam. And so it's going to be very quick. Comes with a nice frothing pitcher as well. And I'll tell you what, Mark.
You gonna froth?
I'm going to froth.
Okay.
I'm going to lose a little bit of crema there transferring, but just to show you, this is a commercial style steam wand, which is nice. It's going to flicker, and once that steam light is solid, the machine is ready for you to start frothing. And so there we go. I'm going to purge just like you did. And you'll hear that pump kicking on. That's true of all thermoblocks. It's just pushing water into the thermoblock to froth it. And now we're going to go with our BPP. So when you're frothing with a thermoblock, especially with a commercial wand, it's worth noting that sometimes the steam pressure will be a little lower, so by introducing more of an angle when you're frothing, you can actually get a better roll in the pitcher to help incorporate that foam, which is all that you want to do here. Getting a nice roll though.
That is a very nice roll, honestly.
Just a little bit toasty. I'm going to turn that off now. If you press the button again, you're going to see the lights are flickering, and we're going to want to cool that down. But first, let's see if Brian's got a nice overhead for me. Maybe he doesn't, but I'm ready to pour here. My crema is a little wimpy because like I said, transferred it from my espresso cup. But Brian, are we ready? Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to see what I can do here. And my crema, actually the froth quality was beautiful, but really the issue was my crema was basically, half of it was left behind in my other cup. But really great job just as far as this machine's concerned in terms of being able to froth and produce latte art quality milk. So that's the Solis Barista Perfetta Plus. We're about to move on to our next machine, the Gaggia Classic E24. I'm going to hand that off to Mark. But before I do we have any questions on the Espresso Evolution or on the Solis? And if not, or if you can't think of one now, but you think of one soon, we'll get to you. Otherwise, Mark, I'd say take it away.
All right, well, I'm going to grab this off our shelf over here because what I have, this is the E24. Now, the Gaggia Classic has been around for a really long time. Mm-hmm. It's what I always have called the best value and entry-level, true Italian-made machine, because this is a machine. Whereas, we may have more plastic used in the construction of these machines. This is all metal. I mean,
that's right.
Little plastic on the drip tray thing here, but that's it. Yeah. But what's new here with the E24 is this. And what is this, Nick?
That is a brass boiler, Mark.
That's an all brass boiler. It used to be an aluminum boiler in this, and they've gone to all brass. Sorry, Brian, keep on taking things out. And this actually, where we were looking at thermo blocks on the first two machines, this is the top half of it, so it would sit inside the machine.
It connects directly to the brew group.
Right. So in this machine, this is going to get nice and hot, what we call the brew group here.
It's going to stay hot, too.
And it's going to stay hot because all that hot water is sitting right on top of it. So we really like this upgrade. It's a little bit bigger than the previous boiler. It has better thermal characteristics than the previous boiler. So a really nice upgrade on this machine. So let's do this. Let's take this out. So again, this machine also comes, I have a non-pressurized filter basket in there, and that
commercial
is hot,
portafilter,
Yes. It's commercial size, 58 millimeter, whereas we were looking at 54.
54, 53, I think, on the Evo, or the Espresso Evolution, yeah.
And this one does come, so I do have the regular non-pressurized basket in here, so we're going to grind fresh on this machine. It does come with a pressurized basket, though. So if you want to use a pre-ground, you're not ready to go into a grinder, you can do that. So I am going to put this back in here.
And so one thing I want to say, too, just on that note real quick, is a lot of people start their espresso journey with a machine like the Gaggia Classic, but down the line you may upgrade. So that 58 millimeter diameter that this machine has is incredibly important because that means your tamper, any of your specialized baskets that you buy, maybe a dosing cup, those can all level up with you to a 58 prosumer machine.
Yeah, all kinds of little upgrades you can do on this machine with specialized precision filter baskets, that kind of thing. I'm just going to use the stock basket with our Fucilli over here. So again, press on the hold to grind into that. And I am going to weigh my dose here. I'm going to go for like 16 grams in this.
And so Mark, just tell us, the Classic, obviously, very simple machine, but kind of what are we looking at in terms of operation on the Gaggia Classic?
In terms of operation, so you got 3 buttons across top, power button, brew button, steam button. Once this light comes on, that indicates that you're up to temperature and ready to go. Let me just weigh this real quick. Whoop, making a mess here.
I don't know if you'd have that problem if you had the Accu Pro.
Yeah, okay. We're at 15.5. Yeah, it's a little longer, the Accu Pro there.
Longer, that's right.
So I'm about 16 grams. And I'm going to show you a technique to get really consistent every time temperatures out of this.
That's right. That you featured in your review, I think, right?
Yes. So if you want to learn more about that, you can see that there. And I'm also going to use, I love this little tool. It makes it easy for the novice. It's called the Jack Leveler. So it's got these little fins in here, so it distributes the coffee and compresses it enough. You know, you can only compress things so much, right?
That's right.
So I'm just going to take this, set it in, and spin this. So this gives you that consistency. That if you're tamping, because if you tamp and you do, you know, you get a little sideways or something in there.
That's right. And between you and maybe another user in your house, they may not tamp as hard as you do.
Right.
So that just is the ultimate equalizer.
So you get real consistency, a nice flat distribution there.
Beautiful.
So here's my little technique. So Nick, I think I left a larger glass over there because what I'm going to do is just get a little water out of the machine. Now you generally want to flush a machine usually before you use it a little bit.
Absolutely.
So the technique is here. My brew ready light is on. I got a little red light here. So what I'm going to do is just let this run for about 5 to 7 seconds.
Yep, see a little steam coming out of there, so good to give it a little flush.
So that should be about right. Now what usually is going to happen is that brew ready light goes off because the boiler's cooled down a little bit.
Right.
I'm going to wait for that to come back on. And then that's when I'm going to start my extraction. This usually takes about 20 seconds. So if I was getting some milk ready or something, I could, you know, go pour my milk right now.
That's right.
So now my light is back on. And I've done a lot of testing with this machine. And that gets me a really good 200-degree brew temperature, perfect for a medium roast every time. So let's see.
You got a couple scales to choose from there.
So I am going to use, do we have the Pro over there? I like the Pro a lot.
Pro, you know, Mark, I'm not sure if we got a mini, we got a regular Accu, and we got a Kaya Lunar, so.
Let's go with the mini. Huh?
Go with the mini, yeah. So it still has some good space, like I said, for larger cups like that. And we are in Accu Spro mode right now.
And I did do about 16 grams, which we already have on there, so I am just going to let this run.
That's right.
And we are on a auto start.
It will auto start, yeah, once the liquid is detected, just like the Accu Pro. And it's going.
It seems like it's going a little fast, so we'd want to fine up our grind a little bit there. And I'm at that's a little fast. We got about 14. We want to be in the 20s usually with that, but not bad at all. So we just take our grinder and just turn it just a little bit finer, and we'd be fine. But like that a lot. I guess we should probably froth over here, right?
I think we should froth, yeah. Okay, how would we do that?
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hit the steam switch. And now for the ready light to come on is going to take somewhere around 45-ish seconds to maybe a minute, depends on where the machine is. But the trick is you can start steaming before that ever happens. And if I have, let's see.
So are you frothing or am I frothing?
Why don't I'll froth.
Okay.
All right, so can I just have your rinse?
Yeah, I'll give that a quick rinse, and then do you want another cup, or are you going to maybe do something like a little macchiato in there?
We'll do a little macchiato in there. So I'm going to do a little bit of milk. And you can see my steam ready light still not on. That's perfectly normal. You can wait for that to come on if you want to. You don't have to, though. You can go, in my testing, you can do about 20 seconds is really all you need.
That's right.
So I'm just going to get a little.
And Mark, what's the advantage of starting a little before that light comes on?
Well, it's going to keep the heating element on, because once this light comes on, the heating element's going to shut off. It's going to take a little while to come back on. But you see, we've been talking so much that it came back on.
That's true.
But same sort of routine here, where I'm just going to purge that wand out.
Oh, look at that. That's some
and
explosive
you'll notice,
steam.
a lot more steam on this than the other two that we looked at. So I'm going to put my tip just right below the surface of the milk.
And I mean, that is a vigorous roll right away. You know.
I'm just following that milk down.
Sounds
just a
really
little
good
bit.
too.
And it's going to get hot a lot faster than the other. I'm almost there.
For sure.
And I'm going to bury that, just mix that a little bit. And get my towel, which I put, there's one.
Oh, there you go. I'll take care of that for you.
Okay, thanks, Nick. And if you can see there, I don't know if we got a shot. I'll try and get it. There it is. So that's a nice froth. You know, you're looking for that
That's
shiny
looking
surface.
really nice, actually, Mark.
So I'm going to make a little mini here, right? A little macchiato. So I'm just going to take that. And you could easily do a couple of these, so I'm just going to pour over the top.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And
Very nice.
there we go. I can't wait to drink that. That's about the size I need right now. Just a little bit of it.
I'm going to say, more milk, less coffee, please. So, now,
but-
just to cool this back down, now that we're all done.
So what we're going to do is we got a cup under there. Thank you for that. So I'm just going to open this up a little bit. I'm going to let some of that steam pressure out of there first, so I'm not going to make a mess. Then hit both the buttons here. And I'm just going to wait for this until I get a stream of water out of there like that. Hit the 2 switches.
When you hit both those buttons together, that's closing the solenoid at the group. So your water, which is being pumped in now because the brew button is pressed, is only going to come out of that wand. So that way you don't have your drip tray flooding at the same time.
And I did want to just show you this right here, because the 3-way solenoid valve, if you can see the puck there, compared to the other machines that don't have a 3-way solenoid valve, the puck's kind of soupy. This one's nice and dry.
It is very nice and dry, yeah.
So you go and knock that out, and you're really good to go. I mean, always when you're done, always
give it a quick
before you
wipe.
put it back, wipe down and throw coffee grounds
I mean,
around.
I think we have some new whole latte love barista towels, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
might be a perfect item for your portafilter or someone on your Christmas list or other holidays for this holiday season. And how's that macchiato, Mark?
That's one hot macchiato. No, it's very good, very good. I would have liked the extraction to go just a little bit longer, but really good.
Yeah. So what do we got left? We have our Profitec GO. So do we have any questions too? I don't see any yet, but if you've got questions about these, I know Emmanuel from the previous stream, he was saying he just got himself a Profitec GO. So if you're still watching and you want us to demo anything on this machine, definitely let us know, because the GO is
Leave a little comment there.
a lot of fun. Mark, this machine has a little bit of history. I think we have a little bit of time, so we can go into a little bit of history here. But looks very similar to one of our favorite ECM machines, the Casa 5. So the GO is based on ECM's Casa 5 espresso machine. This isn't really new news, but if you've never seen this machine before, the Casa 5 was ECM's basically Rancilio Silvia competitor, and then they sort of put it over on the Profitec team when it came time to add the PID, and they made it maybe a little more fun with a couple of different color options that you didn't have before.
Color options, PID, so a lot of people, they get a single boiler machine and they go, oh, I'll do the aftermarket PID. I always say, you know what, get it from the get-go.
I think, right. I mean, and you've got a lot of added functionality on this. I can go through it. Most obvious is the fact that when you start brewing, of course, the PID converts over to a shot timer, so I don't think I really need to explain why that's a benefit. And I see from Dragon Rahim, interested in comparing the Profitec GO to the Elite Victoria. I can talk a little bit about on that. Give me just a moment. We'll finish up with the GO, and then I can get to that. But Profitec does like to add a lot of functionality to their PIDs here, so I turned it off. But if you press both, we have temperature 1, and we also have steam. So what that means in this, blink and you miss it. You really do have to be vigilant when it comes to programming these. T1, that's going to be our brew temperature. Leave that at 200. Steam, that's going to be when you switch the machine into steam mode, how hot do you want the boiler to be? And one thing I want to point out too, so you see we're at 199, I switch it to steam mode, it immediately jumps up to 232. That's because there's a offset that's programmed, so the boiler is actually hotter than 200, but you're programming based on the temperature that you want to brew at, right? So if you see it jump immediately when you press that button, that's just the offset that's going to be on any of ECM Profitec's single boiler machines with these PIDs, right? So we're going to go through though. We also have eco mode, so you can have the machine turn on or off. Basically power down over time. Clean, that's a reminder after a set number of shots to perform a back flush. Very similar if you watch the Mechanica Max. And then the degrees of measurement. So really not too much. When you first power this machine on too, you'll see the word up on the PID. That doesn't mean your machine's floating away. That means that it's heating up. And so once it's hot, you can start brewing. But you will see it say up, and then you want to run a flush after that. The machine will then go to displaying your temperature. So really, across the top, or the front of the machine rather, we have our brew button, our steam button, and then our on-off switch. Now, if you're like me or like Mark and you really enjoy Americanos, I have a little trick for you. So a lot of times we definitely recommend grab yourself a bottomless portafilter. This is a great training tool. You can fit oversized baskets in your machine. And then you take that back flush disc that you had that came with your machine, leave that in your other portafilter, because then run the pump for brewing and just open that steam valve, and you can dispense as much hot water as you want. So if you're somebody, like I said, like me, who really enjoys hot water, because I love Americanos, I love tea and cocoa too, definitely the way to go.
And just a little more on that. I always do the Americanos as a long black, which is essentially the same thing, just flipping the order. So you get your hot water first, then do the espresso over the top. It helps cool down that water a little bit. Another little tip. The closer something is to your body temperature when you taste it, the more you're gonna taste it. If you talk to the coffee pros, they don't want a 190-degree cup of coffee. They want 140. The godfather of espresso and high-end specialty coffee in the U.S. Who is his name?
I
stumped you.
David Schomer?
No, the guy in Boston.
Oh, George Howell.
George Howell.
There we go. Okay.
Like I was talking to him, I'm like, George, where do you like your coffee?
That's like a little bit of a flex right there.
Yeah, sorry.
You got to go to a party with him, I think. So.
So anyhow, I asked him, straight out, where do you like your coffee? And it's like where I like it. I like the flavor from coffee once it's cooled down, just a little. I don't want it cold really, unless I'm doing an ice drink. But if I really want to taste a coffee, I'm much closer to 140 in temperature to really start to taste things. But I digress.
Well, I mean, I think it's a good point that as coffee cools too, the taste changes definitely. Yeah. So if you come back and sip the same coffee again, you'll probably find that it tastes a little bit different. Yeah. Once it's cooled down. So yeah, let's go ahead and dose. I'll use the dosing cup again just for the routine here, but we'll dose 16 grams. And then I'll pull another shot. And actually,
we did have the 58, right?
We did have the 58.
Oh, here it is.
May have grown legs. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you, Mark. We'll tear this out. And then again with that facile, just really great grinder.
And I do like these dosing cups with the Varia. They actually, because I have the 54 over here, you could switch them out.
You could switch them out. I mean, but you would have to own both.
Yeah, you would.
So I would say buy the one. Obviously, that's the right size for your machine, and then you'll be good to go. And I need my spoon from our previous segment. I need just a little bit less coffee in here. 15.8.
15.8?
15.8.
What's 0.2 of a gram between friends?
Or we may be rivals now in our frothing competition, but I'll take the Jack too.
Okay.
And then, really a great tool, just helps distribute, and then also just no tamping required. Just give it a good spin.
But the Go does come with an actual tamper.
The Go does come with an actual tamper, right. So this was introduced, this is the typical tamper that you get on most ECM and Profitec espresso machines below, say, like the Synchronica, or Synchronica 2 now, actually, we're on the sequel. But nice flat metal base, Bakelite handle, so it's smooth, it feels good. You could get by with tamping with this for a while, and then maybe down the line, if you've got your eye on something else, certainly you can upgrade. So, but I'll froth on this just so I can go through the full workflow on that too, but we'll lock this in, and I can't get enough of that AccuSpro mode. And even though this scale is mini, I can fit one of these nice Profitec Pro cups on here too. And we're ready to go. So we're gonna hit that brew switch. And that's it.
So we talked about ratios a little bit. If you don't know, that's like how much the weight of your coffee to the weight of the espresso out.
So that's how much dry coffee you put in versus your liquid extraction, exactly. And it looks like, we definitely
need to fine up.
Fine up just a little bit. And otherwise, though, I have a good base of crema that we can froth with. And so I'm just going to switch this machine now into steam mode. And I'm going to prep myself for cooling the machine off. So we'll knock this out. And that is a nice thing about some of these single boiler machines that have PID controllers, though, is they have the ability to set the steam temperature just like a dual boiler would. Obviously, it's not quite the same, but it does give you some control because more pressure is not always better, right? You may prefer a lower steam pressure, and that's 100% fine. You should definitely use a pressure that gives you the kind of control that you want in your pitcher. I'm going to lock in this.
As you saw, we can adjust that temperature here. I think we had it way up to the top at 284.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a lot of pressure.
Rapid climb, too, though. We're really not seeing too long there. I'm not going to make too much of a mess, but that IPX6 waterproof rating that's protecting our Accu Mini there.
There you go.
And then I've got my Profitec pitcher, so yeah.
You say when?
I'll call this my Barista Assist. I'd say that looks good.
Okay. Happy to give you a little help there.
And it looks like we did get a couple of questions, too. Let's see if you can help out Matt, Mark, and then I'll get to Dragon in just a moment while I froth.
Let's see. Aggie ordered her Go yesterday. Good for you, Aggie. Temp surfing will be a new wrinkle for me thanks to this and your other Go videos. I mean, you really don't have to surf at all on this because you're PID. So you're just going to set the brew temperature you want, and you're going to be good to go, Aggie. Random question. Had it at ECM Synchronic for 2 years. Love it. However, second shot is always faster by 8 seconds than the first. Grind is the same.
Oh, I think that is an easy one to answer because most likely that second shot, the machine's heated up all the way. So you're probably brewing with hotter water. Everything's more soluble, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're maybe going a little before you got full heat. Or
I'd be curious, Matt, like, are you just brewing as soon as the PID says that you're at the right temperature? Because the temperature and letting everything heat up is certainly going to impact your extraction.
Yeah. On the Synchronic, you got the whole mass of the E61 group, and if you're going when you see that your temperature is just good, you might
got a little too much foam on this one. You know, the Go does have some good steam pressure. We were at the max, and so I may even want, we'll have Brian switch us over so we can see my fate here with this pour. But I may even want to, you know, lower that pressure. A little too thick there, but, you know, you still can, I'd say that's a serviceable latte. Oh, wait, I'm always pulling it in the wrong direction there. But, you know, got our back flush disc in, actually, and we want to switch out of steam mode, and then you just want to grab yourself a cup. Doesn't have to be as nice as this St. Anthony Industries Reinhardt cup, for example, but just start up that pump and dispense until you get a solid stream of water. That's going to be the cool down procedure for pretty much any single boiler machine that doesn't have a sort of auto purge feature. And there we go. And, you know, just like you were saying to Aggie, Mark, we can actually see our temperature too, right?
Right.
And now we're down back in the 170s, whereas, you know, you may just see the thermostat says we're ready to go, but you might be a little over where you need to be if you haven't cooled down all the way.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the PID is going to be far more precise at where we are. You can see we're already climbing up. We're at 190, so, you know, we could be prepping another shot right now. By the time we do that, you're going to be ready to brew again.
I guess so follow-up question for you then, Matt. Are you single dosing or are you using a hopper-fed grinder? Oh, figuring out what temp will bring the best taste. Well, you know, based on your coffee, that may be a little higher or a little lower. Typically, you want to be lower for darker roasts so that you don't dissolve as much of the bitter compounds from the coffees. Around that 200, maybe 201 for a medium, and then upwards like 202, maybe 203. Single dose. Interesting. Okay. I was going to say, because I guess the question would be, is there any coffee that might be retained between the burrs, right? So that you're getting the freshest dose first. Medium 200. Okay. That's definitely a head scratcher. We may pass that one to Zach and see if he has any thoughts too. But you know, Dragon, your chat on our screen is almost gone, but I haven't forgotten about you. So let's talk just briefly about the Lilith Victoria. So the Victoria is an interesting machine because it's similar to our Go. It's a single boiler with a PID. I think that in general, the overall feel and the fit and finish, everything's a little bit lighter. The steel's a little bit thinner. The seams are a little bit sharper. The steam knob, in my opinion, is not as substantial as the one that you have on the Profitec GO. So it's an all plastic knob made out of a brown plastic. You do have the ability, obviously, to set your steam temperature and your brew temperature. Very tall, too, so you can fit, the design idea was to be able to fit like a whole American coffee mug underneath it. It has some features that I think were maybe borrowed from Breville. So they had a machine in the past that was called the Duo Temp, and that had an auto flush that it would do after the steam mode. So whenever you switch the Lilith Victoria into steam mode, for example, regardless of how hot the machine actually got, for instance, when you switch back to brew mode, it always forces you to go into a programmed flush mode. So it's definitely kind of like a little more on rails there. So I think like from a fit and finish standpoint, it's a little bit less impressive than something like the Go. I have pulled some good shots with it. You know, I think having the PID on there is nice. I have noticed on some of the lower end PID machines though, they're not always telling you the exact temperature. They show sort of like a loading bar that shows, it looks like a progress bar basically on a computer when you're downloading something or something, and it waits until it gets you to the temperature. So I'm not always 100% sure if I'm exactly where I think I am. And the one thing, and this is just really a personal thing, is these buttons on the Go might look similar to the Victoria, but on the Victoria, they actually don't click in all the way. You push them and it starts, but you don't get that tactile press, that click. Yeah. It's not actually clicked in. So I would say, I think if your budget can't accommodate a Go, I think the Victoria would be, a reasonable alternative if you wanted something that still had that PID control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me give this a sip here.
There you go. And just a little more on the temperature for egg. I mean, you hit it pretty good.
Very good.
Darker, colder. 195 to 205 range. Very rarely are we doing 195 or 205. It's more like a really dark coffee. 196, right. 197, a medium roast 200. Some of those lighter roasts. 203.
Well, our much beloved beamed up. Yes. Which I hope we will see again. Our dark roast blend that we had. Yeah. Probably would want a lower temperature, or like something like a Maromas Platinea, kind of like you just did on your press sensor video.
Yes. Yep. And like something like the Crema Wave here, which is more of a medium roast, right around 200 is a really good place. But you can always, see what you like, and it's not just cut and dry. This medium roast should be this temperature. Yeah. You may play with it a little bit and see that you like something a little bit better than something
exactly.
else. So.
And I would say too, if you're looking to invest in a machine with a PID, especially a single boiler, you probably will be buying different origins of coffee, different single origins, for example, because that's where that precision control really comes in. Obviously, the ability to set your steam pressure is really great, but sometimes too, roasters will even have recommendations for the temperature, and then there's always Barista Assist. So I think that about covers it. Any other questions? And then, Matt, we'll see what we can do about finding an answer for your mystery that you've got going on there.
Yeah, that is a bit of a head scratcher there, Matt. So I guess, okay, so no more questions. I just want to remind you, that we are doing these live streams. I mean, it's Black Friday. We got a schedule going right through Monday.
That's right.
We have our coffee seminars. We have the Barista Assist. And, of course, we have a library of about 1,600 videos. If you want to go deeper, get a much deeper look into any of these machines. That's right. We're talking like 15-minute deep dives into these machines. We take the covers off. You can see inside, all kinds of stuff like that. Plus lots of great technique videos. Like if you're, we've got a really good one on learning how to froth milk and start pouring latte art.
Absolutely.
And
I feel like I could afford to brush up on that one.
Yeah, I think you did just fine. All right. Well, Nick, thanks so much for taking us through the machines. You guys, thanks for watching. We do monitor those comments, so even after the fact. So if you got a question, if you're not watching us live right now, leave it down there in the comments, and we'd be more than happy to try and get you the best answer that we possibly can.